In a previous video I compared Derwent graphite pencils to the Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black carbon pencils, and the difference in the results were huge. So in today's video I'll be comparing the Staedtlers to the Faber Castell Pitt graphite matte pencils. These pencils have both been designed for the same purpose: to achieve smooth matte tones that can go darker than graphite with much less of the shine. So let's see how they compare. I'm starting with the Staedtler side. Anyone who's watched some of my recent videos will know how much I like these pencils. They are great for getting super dark tones, which really helps with the contrast, and they do it without the annoying graphite shine issues. But I've never used them just by themselves. I usually combine them with graphite for the best of both worlds. I'm a little limited on lighter tones as this pack only has 2B, 4B, 6B and 8B. But I went with a reference that didn't have much in the way of bright highlight areas. So I didn't struggle to get the tones in this drawing. The Staedtlers work really well and do a great job with those dark tones. It really helps to be able to go that dark when I need to. And the difference it made to his hair was huge. They work great for the face as well. Usually I'd use graphite here just to get a wider variety of slightly lighter tones. But limiting myself to the Staedtlers really wasn't an issue for this image. I went with a slightly darker reference to try to give these pencils a chance to do what they're best at. It's a bit of a boring image, but I needed something that was easy to divide down the middle while still giving both sets of pencils something to do. It's not what I'd usually choose to draw, but it gets the job done. Everything here goes quite smoothly. I work on the eye, making sure to keep some of the eyelash details crisp and clean, before working on the under eye area. Turning faces into smaller shapes and areas can be really helpful for me. It allows me to work on it piece by piece and helps me see it clearer. The beard was another area where the Staedtlers worked really well. They blend well and they erase quite easily for the thin highlights as well, which is really useful for the beard. I had to fit in a lot of details in a very small area. It's not as perfect as it could be, but the drawing's roughly A5 sized, so it was never going to be the most detailed beard I've ever drawn. But I think I did a decent enough job. My smaller mechanical eraser is a huge help for areas like this. As usual, I mark out the most important details before going over the area doing the general shading. You can see those super dark areas really add a lot of depth and quality to the drawing. As I finish up this half of the drawing, I'm really pleased with how these pencils did. I'm not surprised though. I've used them for a while now and I know how good they are. Next we move on to the Faber Castells. This is my first time using these pencils, so I'm excited to see how they do. These pencils are very interesting, because I'm not actually sure what they are made of. They are made for the same purpose as carbon pencils, and they look and feel very similar. So people assume they have carbon in them. But no one seems to be able to find out for sure. And in their description Faber Castell seemed to list them as being a world first, which wouldn't be the case if they were carbon. So maybe they've found something else to add to graphite to give it the same look. Either way, they feel great to use. And as you can see by the results so far, they match up and look almost identical to the carbon Staedtler pencils. I liked how the Faber Castell set goes from HB to 14B. It feels like it gives me a better range, and allows me to get some lighter tones as well as the deep dark tones. They feel nice to use, maybe a bit less scratchy than the Staedtlers. I like that the grade goes higher than the Staedtlers, but so far I haven't seen much difference in the darkness of the dark tones. I was kind of expecting the 14B to be a lot darker than the Staedtler 8B. But so far it's hard to see a difference. So far they are very similar to use, and it's difficult to see where the two halves meet in the middle in some places. This bodes well for if I want to use them both together on future drawings. These feel like great all-round pencils. It's easy to get tonal variations, they blend well, and they are easy to erase and build highlights. They sharpen nicely as well, except for my 14B. But I think the lead on my 14B is damaged down along the core, so I'm not going to take away points for that. These things just happen sometimes. But all the other pencils sharpen to a nice fine point to allow me to get all the tiny details. They blend well, they go down really nicely, and just like with the Staedtlers, the dark tones are so easy to get and do so much for the contrast of the drawing. I was expecting more of a difference, but so far they are practically identical. I guess it's a bit of a shame that the 14B pretty much matched up with Staedtler's 8B. I was hoping the 14B would achieve a whole new level of darkness. But they are pretty much the same. But they blend well and feel just as easy to use as standard graphite. I haven't used loads of Faber Castell stuff yet, but everything I've tried from them has been great quality, including these. Their polychromous pencils are my favorite colored pencils. They just make good stuff in general. And we're almost done here. Just wrapping up the last bits of the drawing. If you like this video and want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe for more art. The rest of the drawing is pretty much the same as the first half. The pencils match up together really well. There's not that much difference to see from this angle. As you can see from this overhead swoop, you probably wouldn't have guessed that I did the two halves with different types of pencils. And as I show you a side-on angle, the glare and shine off the pencils looks pretty much the same as well. Although I should say that when I was filming this part I felt like the shine was a little bit more noticeable on the Faber Castells. But for some reason it doesn't really show up in the video. But my final conclusion is that they are both great pencils, and they both do a great job of reducing that shine and getting you your deep dark tones. They are great quality and super easy to use. The aim of this video was to help me figure out my perfect set of tools for black and white drawings, but I think going forwards I'll be using both of these pencils together. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.